Are you finally ready to buy a professional video camera in 2023? If so, you need to consider these 3 options that I found that are going to fit what you need in a professional camera. Before we begin, let's quickly break down what a professional camera even is. Professional video cameras, also known as cinema cameras, are designed for those that are creating content on platforms like Netflix, HBO, and even the movie industry. Most, if not all, professional cameras have the ability to shoot internal RAW, as well as a very high dynamic range, and obviously as well as shoot in a very high resolution from 4K all the way up to 8K. Professional cameras come in a wide variety of different specifications. Some, especially in the industry like on Netflix or streaming platforms, they actually create a list of cameras that need to be used on their productions. Lists like these are constantly updated, especially in the changing camera industry. New technology, higher bit rates, higher dynamic range cameras are constantly coming out every single year. So if you're on a low budget and you're looking to get a camera that is approved by some of the biggest production houses, I would highly recommend you look at the Panasonic BG-H1. The BG-H1 is a micro four thirds box style camera. This camera system was designed by Panasonic for those of you that are looking to mount different types of screens, as well as monitors or external recorders, as well as the ability to quickly mount this on a drone or a gimbal. This camera has the ability to produce high quality 4K content in 30 and even 60 frames per second in a very high dynamic range. And obviously an unlimited recording time. We don't have to worry about recording times with cinema cameras. That's why this camera is definitely a budget option for those of you that want something amazing and powerful that you can kit out, add different accessories to it, the ability to mount it to different options without having to worry about a very high price tag. I would honestly highly consider this camera just as a cam for my own production use, just because of the fact that it's very affordable, and also it has the ability for me to use my micro four thirds lenses. And now for those of you that have a higher budget and are wanting to get a lot more features out of a cinema camera, I would highly recommend the Canon C70. The Canon C70 is also another camera that is on our Netflix approved camera list. The Canon C70 was released at the later half of 2020. However, because of the shortages, there was a lot of wait time in between actually you buying your camera and actually getting it. There's actually a lot of availability nowadays for these cameras, but they are pretty expensive. Coming in at around $5,500 depending on the time of the year you're buying this camera. This cinema camera is packed with so many features. This camera does feature Canon's latest RF mount system, so if you do have a lot of other Canon lenses lying around, you will either need the adapter or you're gonna need to upgrade to Canon's latest and greatest RF mount lenses. One of my favorite things about this camera is the fact that it has built-in ND filters. A lot of content creators in the wedding industry use this as their primary A camera on their shoots. This camera does feature Canon's autofocus technology, so you won't have to worry about your image being out of focus. It's actually pretty intuitive and very responsive in running gun scenarios. This camera obviously has the ability for you to shoot in 4K 30 and 4K 60, as well as some other higher frame rates that you need to create cinematic content. But all in all, this camera system is definitely a really good option for those that are wanting to get something just a little bit more expensive, but comes with other features that you might need. And finally, for those of you that are fan of Sony cameras, I know there are a lot of you out there that watch my content, is the Sony FX6. The Sony FX6 is another camera that is on Netflix approved camera list as of the shooting of this video. It's gotten a lot of new features ever since its initial launch through firmware updates, but it's still a tried and true full frame cinema camera. It being a full frame camera, it has the ability to use Sony's E-mount glass. So if you have a bunch of full frame glass lying around that you already use for your content creation, this camera system will be able to quickly and easily use since you have a bunch of glass lying around already. Some of the amazing features that this camera has is the ability to record in 4K 60 and even up to 120 frames per second, as well as having built-in ND filters and 15 plus stops of dynamic range. It also features Sony's S-Cinetone color profile. This color profile is used in the Sony Venice series of cameras that Sony creates. It has the ability to capture some of the most amazing skin tones right out of the camera. This camera was designed by Sony as a supplemental camera for those that use the Sony Venice. The Sony Venice is a $50,000+ cinema camera used to create some of the most amazing films that you've probably seen in cinema. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, all of these camera systems are on Netflix's approved camera list. They end up deciding what cameras can be on this list based on specifications. They will add or remove cameras based on the ever-growing and ever-changing camera industry. Honestly, if it was me and I had the budget to create a feature film or a documentary of some sort, I would honestly try to get the very best option. But at the end of the day, it all depends on what your budgets are as a creator of a film or of a short. After having some hands-on experience with one of these camera systems, I can honestly see why certain types of cameras are priced a certain way because of the features that you need to create the content. These cameras are not designed for the novice in mind. If you have no idea how to use a camera or have very little experience within the camera industry, you should not consider getting any of these cameras until you're ready. Maybe you're a brand or a business looking to create content on YouTube, Netflix, or some other streaming platform. This is where you actually need a team and people that know exactly what they're doing in order to get the job done. Maybe you only need one of these professional cinema cameras for a couple of hours or a couple of days. If that's the case, I highly recommend you take a look at a local rental house or possibly one of these websites online. There really is no reason for you to really ever own one of these cameras unless you're an actual production house who's constantly creating content and needs cinematic quality or high levels of quality like content that goes on Netflix. But if you're in the budget for one, I have a link to all of the cameras I mentioned down in the description of this video down below, so take a look at those links. They are affiliate links, so I do get a kickback if you use those links. If you come to the end of this video and you still have no idea what kind of camera system you need, I have a video on the 4 main camera systems that you can watch right here that every camera manufacturer creates cameras for. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.